everybody, Mike here. Today we are going to review two products. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Wizards of the Coast's product about Heists, which is a great product actually. I think it's one of Wizards' best products, Keys from the Golden Vault. And we're going to talk about Beyond the Golden Vault, which is available on DMSGUILD, which fills in the big gaps in Keys from the Golden Vault. I'm actually happy Wizards didn't put these things in, because I think that the writers of Beyond the Golden Vault did an amazing job, and it's worth every penny. Before I start, two things. One, I was given Beyond the Golden Vault free for doing this review. If you think that's going to bias my review, then you probably don't want to watch the video. Two, I'm a tiny little channel, a few hundred, maybe 100 and some followers. A like, a subscribe is huge for a channel like mine. Do it or don't do it. There will be a link down below where you can find access to order Beyond the Golden Vault on DMSGUILD. I don't make any money off the links. Use it or don't use it. It's really up to you. As always, there will also be a link down to my products on DMSGUILD. If you really want to thank me for this video, it'd be great if you bought one of the products. But again, no need to do that. I'm probably going to be doing more review videos going forward. I hope to do some Foundry virtual tabletop videos going forward, but I just haven't had a lot of time to play with the latest version of Foundry and really get expertise in it and talk about what I would do differently than I did in the previous version. So let's get right to it. Let's talk first about Keys from the Golden Vault. This is the cover art. I'm going to say I run pretty combat heavy campaigns, and I think that's one of the reasons I really like this supplement so much, is it's not combat heavy. As a matter of fact, combat is a really bad idea for most of these things. Most of these adventures. There are, as you probably know by now, I think 13, I can't even remember exactly how many adventures. There's a little introduction on how to do heists, and heists are stealing things, they're saving people, they're making people look bad. If you've ever watched the TV show Leverage, and if you haven't, you really should, you know all about a heist plot, because every episode of Leverage TV show is a heist. So I think what I like here is all of these have very creative locations. There's not a bunch of dungeons where we're going in and we're killing stuff or we're exploring. There isn't a big open field. There isn't a volcano. There isn't a lot of kind of normal locations. There's railroad track isn't the right word. There's a train that travels the plains. There is a clockwork area. There's a casino. Casinos are big for heists. You've probably seen Ocean's 11. Or if not, another high recommendation if you want to run a heist campaign. But there's so the actual locations are amazing. They're written really well. We get information about the non-player characters that we can use, but not so much that it's useless information. I really like this book a lot. I'm super glad that I bought this book. I'm hoping to release a product or two related to this book. But one of the products I was planning to release was going to fill in what I think are the gaps. So the biggest gaps here are kind of an example heist, although each of these works as an example. A lot more about character options and what kind of characters and different tools and magic items and spells could be useful in heist campaigns. There's a little bit of anatomy of a heist and what a heist is compared to combat, but not a lot. And I'll tell you what, this other product, Beyond the Golden Vault, really fills in the stuff. Really fills in what's missing in terms of what WotC did. So again, 100%, your table is going to be able to use 2, 3, 4 of those heist adventures in Wizards of the Coast book. You don't want to do all heists, maybe, but you're going to be able to use some of them. It's a great book, but it's missing some things, and here's what I think it's missing and where this product on DMSGUILD really does a great job. First, it talks about the different kinds of characters that work well in heists. An architect, so the person who plans everything out, the brute, the muscle, the people, the con artist who's out there tricking people, the surveyor who's out there understanding the lay of the land and the NPCs and the geography and everything about, what they need to know about where they're going. And then the tinkerer, the person with the tools, the really cool stuff. And in this case, it's magic-y stuff, but in like Leverage, it was the computer guy, right? So I get amazing Leverage vibes out of this. Let's just go to the architect first. So these are backgrounds. We have a whole background here. We have a magic item that comes with the background. We have a couple of feature choices for the background. You can generalize things. I think I would have done this just a smidge differently. I'm not sure I would want to have to choose at the end of a short rest every time. I think being a generalist means I'm good at a lot of different skills. And I get why they did it this way. But I think, and a short rest works, right? But if you're kind of on your toes and you're trying to plan things out, and maybe this is more the con artist, I might have done a little bit differently, but I think this is great. Visual calculus, you're able to really remember things and recall details that others may have missed. I think this would be a great way to use flashback. A lot of TV shows and movies have flashback scenes in them about, oh yeah, remember when we did this? I think this would be a great way to do a flashback in your game, is to use visual calculus. Let's just look at one more. Let's look at the con artist. So the con artist background, disguise kit, that totally makes sense. You're really good at persuasion or deceiving or performing or insight. Each thing comes with a piece of magic, which we'll just skip for now. I love these features. Poker face it's just, it says con artist. Fishtails, it says con artist. I mean, I don't know if everyone can really role play these things great, but I think a little bit of role playing and then adding on abilities and skills and all of that kind of thing is great, right? We're pretending to sword fight, but we don't think that we're good with an actual sword any more than I might be good at or not good at telling a fishtail, which is why I think, yeah, we role play the fishtail, but then we also get some structural benefit. These two are really well written. That's enough on the backgrounds. All 5 of the backgrounds are great. The magic items that come with each of the background start in less power and they can get more power. Personally, I would just have them level up with my characters. We also get the stat blocks at different levels, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, of each of the different kinds of characters, which is great. It really gives you an idea of how it all works. Big fan of this. I'm just going to go down to additional acquisitions. So there's a section here on magic. It includes a handful of items, 2 handfuls of items, and 2 handfuls of spells. I don't know why Wizards didn't have more magic items. Every single heist in their book should have had or could have had a magic item that wasn't the MacGuffin that you were trying to steal or whatever, but something that the players could use or that the non-player characters had that the players could later use. So I love these things. Let's look at the Cane of Reconnaissance. Magnifying glass on the end of the cane. Gets more powerful as the tiers go up. Again, I would make these leveling magic items so that they leveled up with the characters. And that's the Hand of Glory. Lets you do a lot of really cool things, but this is really cool. While lit, the Hand of Glory gives off light only you and those you designate can see. That is a powerful piece of magic. Almost campaign altering in campaigns where darkness is really an issue, where not every player character and non-player character has dark vision. This thing could be really, really powerful, and I think it's just a great idea. I don't know why it's not something I've seen before. it's so obvious once you see it. Then we get into spells. There's lots of different kinds of spells. Bring to Mind is great. This is great for the architect or the con artist or the tinkerer, right? Man, I thought I was going to do this, but I really need to be able to do this instead. I might make this also eligible for cantrips. So you can replace a spell you currently have prepared with another first level spell. I'd probably make it for cantrips as well, because you might need Mage Hand or Light or something that you weren't expecting. But it's just an example of how I think they're filling in the blanks of how to make it about heists, not about combat. A lot of these things don't really have a lot of obvious combat uses. In this case, it probably does. Oh man, I thought I was going to be fighting something that was resistant to fire, but they're actually resistant to acid. I'm going to switch which cantrip or which first level spell I have. This PDF comes with 3 heists. I think they're, again, really well done in terms of the unique locations and the write-up of the NPCs. If anything, they're a little open-ended. Not if anything, they're definitely open-ended. The ones in Wizards of the Coast are a little railroady, as you might expect, because they're aimed at people who haven't done a lot of heists. They're aimed at people who are kind of used to that, like, here's your job, here's your objective. Each of these 3 is almost a sandbox. Small sandbox. It's an airship. It's a place where people's minds are stored. So you're looking for information or maybe something. Who knows? I will say, so if you're one who needs a lot of direction, these might be a little difficult for you to run, but each of them has, here's what you could do as part of it. Each of them also has, which I really like, and let's see if I can get right to it. Final thoughts, maybe. So here's the adventure. Here's some adventure hooks. Anatomy of an Archive Strike. So this is great. So this is all about how you would do a strike against an archive heist, not just this particular one, which is great. There's something that they call spin. Adding a twist can increase tension. So some of these come with a lot more spin than just this one thing, and I'm going to see if I can get down to that. The thing that makes me a little nervous is all of these stat blocks are going to potentially encourage people to fight or not. I'm not really sure. And there's nothing wrong with fighting. Let's just be truthful here. Build your own casino heist. Here's another way to make everything a little bit different. Make the casino fit your world. Is it an upscale? Is it a downscale? Is there a lot of magic? Not a lot of magic. Great idea. Here's an anatomy of a casino heist. Now, I think as a dungeon master, sometimes we have to give clues to our players. Our players don't actually do these things in real life. Their characters do, but the players don't. So maybe you talk about this anatomy of a heist outside of the game, and then you kind of build a game around this. This spin table is great. Look at this spin table for when it's all going a little too well. I love this. Celebrity arrives and attracts a crowd. Guards struggle to correct. I mean, this is just all kinds of stuff that could be happening that could make it more complicated for the characters to pull things off, or it could be a boon. And man, that celebrity arrived and attracted the crowd, and everybody kind of, went over and looked at that celebrity, leaving their mark, less guarded or less surrounded. Who knows? These could be good things. They could be bad things. The third one is a repository. It's a museum. Comes with really good stuff, motives, all the different kinds of targets and types. This one is a real sandbox. I mean, each level has dozens of different things that they could be stealing, so it's an opportunity for you as a game master to really put something of specific to your campaign in it. Love this stuff. Hazards is traps. I'll say this is the part of the book that inspired me the least. I did like that it talked about how to scout out the trap, how to, what the trap does, the effects, a lot of different things about the traps I think are more interesting than just here's a trap, right? But to me, this was the least inspiring thing. Now, the least inspiring thing is still really good. There's a lot of really good stuff in here, don't get me wrong. But it didn't make me go, yeah, I need to put these traps in my game for sure. The monsters, I'm huge on monsters. I probably own more monster books than any other kind of books from third-party publishers and Wizards. I own, I think, all of their monster books except for one. The latest one that was basically just a reprint of the other two books I don't own, for example. But there's some really cool monsters in here. Swarm of Lucky Chips is great. I love swarms. The slot golem is really cool, right? It's a slot machine. It's a golem that it's going to protect things. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. I'm not going to go into the monsters a lot, but you can see all the way from a half to 9 in challenge rating. So usable in any of these heists that they have or added to what's found in Wizards. But I want to get to the part that I think is the best part. And if I had written a book for DM's Guild, it would have been this, and it wouldn't have been half this good. Tools of the Trade. Tools of the Trade, it isn't what I thought it was when I saw the index. I thought it was going to be, magic items and traps and skills and, all that kind of stuff. This is how to run a heist. This is, 15, 20 pages of how to run a heist, and it is really, really, really good. If nothing else was in here, this part alone would be worth $5, $10, $15 if you run a lot of heists. The fact that it's included with 3 heists, and the stuff for player characters, and the magic items, and the traps, and the monsters, and everything else that's in here, this is great. When I talked to one of the people who wrote this book, I said maybe this should have been at the beginning, and I'm rethinking that. I think all the other stuff makes sense at the beginning. This is really for the game master to really think about everything after they've kind of skimmed through everything else. Come here, read this, and be like, oh man, this is great. So let's talk about it. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to figure out, what is the purpose? Why are you targeting them? So find a mark, right? Who is it that you're going to try to do whatever you're going to do? Steal from, embarrass, maybe even the opposite. Maybe your score, your mark is somebody that you want to make famous. It doesn't have to be a negative thing all the time in a heist. Sometimes it can be a positive things in a heist. We've certainly seen TV shows or movies where Leverage has an episode where Nate, the architect in Leverage, is trying to get somebody elected to try to make a better government, for example. Sort of. But that's kind of, what ends up happening. So here's a whole bunch of ideas of marks that you could do. That's part of the score. Next, you want to do what kind of type, right? So are you troubleshooting? Are you procuring something? Are you trying to broker something from somebody else? And here's some specific things. Troubleshooting, eliminate a target. So there could be combat, who knows? There could be a framing of target. Procurement, steal, kidnap, steal information, move equipment, brokerage, trade stuff, infiltrate a group, spy, recruit a spy, deliver an item. Lots of really cool stuff. This is great. This is going to help you build your own heists if you really want to. Secondary objectives. Great list. I want to burn the evidence. I want to leave my calling card behind so that everybody knows that I pulled this off. This is great. Yeah. So then after you've figured out the score, who you're trying to go after and what you're trying to do, then you've got to scout out the locations. You've got to understand the layout. You've got to understand the conditions. You've got to understand the rooms or the whatevers. Here's a whole bunch of different kind of rooms. I mean, seriously. Then you got to figure out the security. That's part of scouting, right? Do they have traps? Do they have guards? Do they have whatever? Look at the exploitable weaknesses thing over there. That's awesome. Gives you ideas for what you can set up that the players can take advantage of. Hint at these things, right? Or when they're hired by somebody, say, hey, I know that it's pretty easy to bribe the employees because they don't pay them enough. Okay, so then after you've done the score, the scouting, the security, what do? You have to set up your plan, right? So this talks about, I love this. I'm not always going to totally fail or totally succeed. I'm going to sometimes partially fail or partially succeed or major succeed. This is great. I love this. I really wish it was base part of 5th edition. We should go from critical failures to partial failures to successes to total successes to critical successes. This is great. Everything should be set up this way. Super thrilled it's there. So, what are you going to do? You're going to schmooze, you're going to stake out, you're going to study things, you're going to procure things. Then what? Okay, the spin is, and this is great, every job comes with unexpected issues, right? So here's another table for unexpected things. And then the strike. This is when you actually go in and you do things. Are you going to do fast-paced actions, complications? There's a lot of stealth involved. And then after you've done all of that, the strike, you need to escape. You need to get away. Once you've achieved the goal, you need to get away. This is cool. They could have gotten away, but they were noticed. They could have gotten away, but it took so long. Do you want to make it hard or easy to escape? These are all up to you, of course. Here's some optional rules. There's a skill challenge thing I brought in from 4th edition. I could have used a better example. Time dice is great. Flashback points. I already kind of brought up flashback points. I think I could have used some examples of flashbacks. I could have used an example of here's a flashback and exactly how it's used, right? So I've prepared for this is different than giving an example. I think if any of the thing isn't perfect in this section, and trust me, I'm 97.3964% on the way to perfect, I could have used an example almost everywhere. Here's an example of this, here's an example of that, here's an example of an entire heist and how it actually plays out at the table. I could use that here or in Wizards' book. Wizards is never going to put something like that in their book. I would have loved that here. I would have loved that in each of these specific areas. We got really specific examples of player characters. Give me specific examples of these tools of the trade. We got, right? I don't want to belabor that because I'm sounding negative all of a sudden. I want to say this product is great. I would pay full price for this product. It really fills in the gaps. The player character options I love. This last part I love. Like it bookends between great player options and each of them kind of getting a really cool magic item or not. You don't have to give them that. And how to actually build a heist and all of the different parts of it. Like if this part could have been even a little bit longer, give me more of these complications. Give me more in the spin, although we did, as I pointed out above, in that other one, get a spin table there. I might sell a product just with spin. I don't know. Now that I've talking, I didn't think of that until right now. So it's inspiring me to come up with products that you might want to buy, and it's going to inspire you as a game master to come up with either your own heists or ways to fill in the gaps in the adventures in Keys from the Golden Vault. I think I talked kind of fast there. Faster than I normally talk, and I think that's because I'm so excited about this particular product. It is a great product. You will not be disappointed if you buy Beyond the Golden Vault on Dungeon Masters Guild. Like I said, there will be a link to that product down below. I don't get paid anything for the links or for using those links, so buy it however you want to buy it or don't buy it. It's really up to you. Thanks for watching, and please give me a thumbs up or subscribe. Have a great day, everybody.